Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space, where I take stories from across the internet and read them for your entertainment. Before we get into the story, just some announcements. One, I went to the barber today for the first time in many years, and they did the haircut, which is nice. And they said, "Do you want to trim the beard?" And I said, "Yeah, a little trim will do." And then they did this. I'm not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing. My wife seems to like it. Just let me know what you guys think. They did shear back the attack caterpillars on the top of my head, so that's a good thing. The other thing is the wife's sick, but I'm also sick. I can feel it in my chest that there's a bit of a flu going on, a bit of nothing serious, just, we're going into winter, these things happen. So I'm going to try rapid fire the one-shots today before I get too sick to do it. So my voice might be a little off, or might be a bit rushed. I'll try not to rush too much so that it isn't too unacceptable, but it might be there. So thank you for understanding. And I'll again apologize for last night's problem, which we're trying to figure out what went wrong with the original base video. There was something weird going on there. But move on we must, and so we're on to the stories. Story number 1. The Versatility of the Human Spear, written by Random 3X. It was often debated that the most useful weapon and enduring weapon amongst the member species was. Arguments would go on and on for endless hours with no resolution in sight. "I believe it is clearly the fangs," the wolf-like Anuxus declared as he thumped his fist against the table. To the Anuxus, their fangs were the first and foremost weapon. Their entire culture developed around getting into close range and attacking with them. Even when they developed modern technology, the ranged weapons were seen as dishonorable for many generations. No, these are clearly better weapons. The Tuknuk clacked its pair of mantis-like claws. Once again, to the Tuknuk, their claws were their race's first and foremost reliable weapon. They had many other features that would have worked just as well, but the range the claws gave them was by far the greater advantage than even the Anuxus's fangs. For those of us not born with natural weapons, I would suggest the Humble Club, a mountain of muscle that was Grok declared, thumping his fist onto the table, this time leaving an indent in the metal. Throughout Grok's history, they had been a simple brutes who never understood the need for tactics. If a war was declared, the forces would march up to each other in a single long line and hit each other on the head and back and forth until one of them died, with the victor being the one with more survivors. Even after being aided by more technological advanced races, the Grok preferred direct confrontation and made heavy use of energized blunt weapons. "I imagine I could crush both of your skulls and carapace in one thump," the Grok declared with a boisterous laugh. "What of you, human?" the Anuxus asked. "Oh, the most useful weapon humanity ever really made was the spear." "A spear?" the Tuknuk repeated with a dismissive tone. Ever since both races joined the Council Alliance, there had been some level of tension between them. The Anuxus and the Grok could only exhale a long sigh. Yes, a spear. The most versatile and simple weapon humanity can make. You see, we weren't born with natural weapons, like you two," he explained, gesturing to the Anuxus and the Tuknuk. "And while we did develop the club, it was quickly outpaced by the spear." "Why not a sword?" the Anuxus asked, having maintained his family tradition of training with the weapon since he was a pup. Swords take training to master, but the spear is as simple as a club and a magnitude more versatile. With the club, you have to get in close. Yes, for honorable combat. To thump the enemy! With the spear, though, I can stay a safe distance away from my enemy. Humans naturally don't like the idea of dying, so if I can stab you from over here, I will, the human mimed, thrusting a spear to demonstrate. "What if they were out of reach of the spear?" the Tuknuk asked. "We would just run up and hit them," the Grok declared. Well, we can simply throw the spear. Once again, he mimed the action. A spear, unlike a club, is aerodynamic. It can fly and hit someone out of reach. But the best part of a spear is not only how simple it is, but how much its strength multiplies when you have more people with spears. Like our club lines? A bit. But with thousands of spears behind a shield wall, humans became an unstoppable force. Even people using swords were left wanting when they faced a spear wall. The best part is you don't have to train them too much to use a spear. Mostly stand there and use the pointy end. I see what you mean, a simple but versatile weapon, and when massed with many, they would overcome a lot of enemies. The Eunuchs pondered aloud. I would have assumed you would have named firearms, after all. Your race developed them relatively early compared to the rest of us. The human chuckled at this observation. Ever heard of bayonets? The three shook their heads. Even when we made guns, we made a blade to stick on the end of them, because when we could not shoot, we could still use it as a spear. We still keep spears in mind, even now, the human replied as he took out his service rifle. The three remembered when the humans first arrived. There was a massive stir regarding their weapons. The weapon had a shield generator built into its body, while the shot itself had a magnitude of penetration. Even some laser shooters failed to match. Beyond that, the rifle had a hard, light blade that produced from the head of the rifle. Even now, many shuddered at the memory of the demonstration where the shields overlapped and made it nigh impossible to injure the humans while they could fire with impunity. So that light blade is your bayonet? The Tuknuk asked, to which the human nodded. Yes, sir. This is a special penetration electromagnetic acceleration rifle, Mark I, Spear for short. Even now, with all of our technology, we do love our spears. The human finished with a smirk. That and our military acronyms, he added before chuckling once more. End of story. Story number 2. Humans Are Elemental, written by me, Valonze. It was just 500 cycles ago when we discovered the humans. They'd been discovered by the Shrilb colonization scout, in the midst of establishing their first colony world outside of their local star system. At first, we believed that perhaps the Shrilb would raise issue with the newcomers, citing colonization rights, and for the humans to retaliate with whatever force they may have. We thankfully were wrong. As to quote a human member of the first diplomatic team, "Those bee-folk are too nice, sir. We can't just screw them over." The negotiations had ended in a rather odd treaty, with the humans allowing the planet to be cohabited by both races, as a sign of mutual trust. So, with the threat of small interstellar war all but vanished, we set to do what our race always does with a newcomer species: categorize their elements. At first, they seemed to us to be like the Earth races, industrious and stubborn creatures. They were capable of building entire colonies in the span of 2 local cycles, and never balked at a setback, no matter how severe. Why, on their first colony alone, they contended with frequent gravitational anomalies, and today it stands as one of the foremost amusement parks, to borrow the human's phrase for it. But after a while, we began to see something different. In just a few dozen cycles, they had spread far, and with dozens of planets becoming home to the fledgling race. We began to believe them to be wind, unbound by others, and destined to one day know every corner of the galaxy. They met with the reclusive Zarata as friends. They spoke freely with the Imperial Directu. They could even be found within the high worlds of the Shrilb, partaking in meals with queens and royal guard. Even our own species, the Tkug, were no different, finding them amongst the merchant yards and our communal houses. They were a quick staple of the galactic community, and for a long time we believed that we had them solved and understood. But then humanity did something strange. they began to innovate and create like water. They revealed themselves to be minds of the highest order. They constructed great works of art, the likes of which only appeared in the halls of the Zerata. They produced marvels of science no lesser than the powerful minds of the Shrelb. Even we had acquiesced to the madness humanity proved to be. They were earth, wind, and water, all at once, kings of the elements in ways none had been before. And then the Directive Civil War happened, and a new regime rose to power, and in a mere single cycle, the fire had returned to them and threatened to consume the galaxy. The Shrelb had been the first to be attacked. I mourn for their loss, even now, as the High Queen lost billions of her kin in that first attack. The Director was swift in their cruelty, caring not for the worlds themselves and razing them with orbital bombardment for days at a time. I was there when the first reports reached our worlds. The image of a nest world pulverized to rubble, the bodies of billions of children and elders turned to ash. It still haunts my sleep some nights. The galactic community took the news with fervor and anger, and none more so than the humans. Children, I have told you that humans are industrious as earth and as wise as water and as wild as wind. But you must know humans too can love and hate like fire. And they loved their bee friends with an intensity neither you nor I could comprehend. And with those friends at risk, they turned that love into a vile hate for the Director. I dare not speak of the war here, children, but I will say this. 44 billion Director lived at the beginning of the war. And now, almost 200 cycles later, they are the only just recovered to a population of 5 billion. The humans proved a greater fire than the Director could ever have expected. In their fury, they burned away a fifth of the galaxy's population. So I say this now, children. Humans are unlike any other. Even now they prove to be beyond simple classification, standing truly elemental against all the galaxy. End of story. I would quickly like to thank our Tier 5 patrons, Dragzoon WRE, Quantum Wednesday, Ambrose Catal, Lord Ashrakal, Bushmaster 177, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, and Arcadian. Thank you very much.